Is it too late for millennials to ever buy houses? I'm Brandon from Vegas, and today on Won't You Be My Neighbor, we're going to find out. We're joined today by special guest Robert Condell. If you guys know him, you know he's usually behind the scenes doing content direction. And as always, we're judged by the lovely Alexandra. Do not call her Alex. Miss Harbushka. She will come for you.
I will.
And guys, it's an important question. We need to know. You know how I think housing is bae. A lot of people are salty about this, but are millennials still able to buy houses? Yes or no?
Yes.
Robert, what do you think?
I'm a millennial, sort of. Verge Gen X. Well, the cusp of...
We discussed your birthday off air.
I'm 44, so I don't know if you guys are going to call me a millennial. But some people, it's too late. So, some states, too late, for sure.
Okay.
So the millennial range is from 1981 to 1996, right? Mm-hmm. That is what they call the beginning and end. So if you're 1980 or 1987, you also might fall into the category. That's just the general guidelines they say. So everybody here is from those part of millennial.
I don't want to be a millennial.
Why not?
Because I feel like it's like, oh, they're so whiny and they don't want to work and they've had it so easy and and they just get a bad rep. I don't feel like I identify with the millennials. Yeah. I'm 41. I'm born in 82. So
the millennial generation definitely feels like there's an old internet meme that's like born too late to change the world or discover new places, born too early to explore the stars, right? Like this new generation coming up, they get to be born into a world with AI, right? Like we're trying to like learn it. They're being born into it, right?
I mean, I didn't have electronics as a kid. I had Teddy Ruxpin.
Teddy Ruxpin.
You know, you put the tape in. Right. You know, I had Bright Light.
You guys know who that is.
They don't know.
It's like a teddy bear.
They don't know. It's a teddy bear that you put a cassette tape in and he talked. Yeah. That was like, whoa. You know, like I like Nintendo, which I did not have, was literally Super Mario with the mushroom. I mean, that like video games blow my mind nowadays.
I had to beg for a Game Boy.
Yeah, Game Boy.
Beg, right?
Like beg. $80. Like literally I had my two uncles buy me $80 toy. Like an $80 toy was like...
And you got one game.
Right.
A game. And you had to play.
And you were so good at that game.
We played Pokemon Red 1,000 times. We caught every single thing, right?
Yeah.
And you needed batteries.
Oh,
These kids don't know what a AA battery running out feels like, right? So we definitely are a generation. Look at that. We said we're not whiny, but here we are.
Here we are.
Millennials, right?
We're the older. We're the older millennials.
I'll say this. I think that millennials were the first. Maybe Gen X, but millennials were the first, like very like self-conscious, like aware. You know, it was cool to go to therapy, like type of generation because. We're too smart for our own good. Like millennials are super smart. Yeah. But I know because I'm one that we're super stupid with money.
Yeah.
Because we have a lot of toys. Like if you think about it, we're the toy generation.
Sure.
And we're the distraction generation.
Yes.
Right? So like instead of saving for a home, me at 26 when I was making like really, really good Hollywood money.
Yeah.
And I even had a 401k that I took out at 36 and went and I spent it to be an artist. I was like, I'm going to go be an artist for a year. And then I went bankrupt at 38. Yeah.
Jeez.
You're partying.
Party. Well, no, just exploring.
But I was just not like thinking about home ownership at the time.
You didn't think that, You didn't know that you could leverage the home ownership.
Why is it that our generation never considered home ownership in our 20s, right? Why was it never...
Well, I can...
Go first.
Yeah. One...
Okay, well, hold on. When did you buy a home? What age?
35.
35.
35.
41.
36. Okay, so we all bought our homes pretty much around the same time period, right? Mm-hmm. What were we doing in our 20s that we felt was so important?
Drinking.
Yeah.
Partying.
Experiences?
I would say in my 20s, like my paycheck didn't always have a comma in it.
Okay, that's fair.
Okay.
Yeah, so my paycheck didn't always have a comma in it, and I had to live at home. But I also had a sick-ass car with some nice rims.
What kind of car?
I had an Infiniti I don't know what they're called, G20. I don't know. But I had the coupe, and then I put chrome ribs on it.
Oh, yeah.
I put
You had
20
chrome
inch.
rims?
Like Robert
Yeah.
said, the toy generation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Right?
had the Bluetooth when it first came out. You
Yeah.
know, like it was sick.
It felt like we were buying back our childhoods.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that I talk a lot with people about is like this whole thing about
dude,
your inner
that's
child,
deep.
right? And trying to buy back your childhood.
Mm-hmm.
As I grew up really broke, where I could only have, I never got the newest system. When
Same.
everybody had PlayStation 2, I had a PlayStation
You had
1.
Game
Same.
Boy.
When everyone had the Game Boy Advance, I still had the Game Boy.
Yeah.
So whenever I had money, I would always rush to buy back
To get there.
To get there, right? I'd be like, oh, I finally got money. I'm going to get the new PlayStation 4. Never played it. I had a PlayStation 4 in my house. Never played it,
Yeah.
right? I just wanted it so I could say that I had it. And like, I thought it would make me
Yep.
feel better somehow, some way.
Yeah.
I-
We definitely love experiences.
Yeah.
And I think that our baby boomer parents, they took care of us. They're like, oh, I'm going to give you, because our baby boomer parents had to work for what they have. And I
Yeah.
think it was, oh, well, let's give our child this. And this is the idea of helicopter parents. This is also the idea of not as many stay-at-home moms. It was also,
Yeah.
a double working
Yeah.
family. And so
Yeah.
kids were raised at schools, or they were raised in aftercare, or they were raised in camps.
We were deaf, and people feel uncomfortable talking about this,
Mm-hmm.
but we were definitely the test generation, not just for the internet, but for like the no fault divorce generation,
Uh-huh.
right? The second wave of feminism, whatever you want to call it, that
Yeah.
whole post hippie, post civil rights,
Yeah.
like everyone's exploring new traditions and new ideas of
Yes.
what it means to be an American.
That's a good point.
We were the children who were the result of that, right? Everybody loves talking about the hippies and free love, and
We had the
everybody-
hipsters and the
yeah,
scenesters.
Yeah.
And we were
And
the
the
kids.
vegans
We were the
and, like-
kids who were like, I don't see my parents for 8 hours a
Yeah.
day.
Let's see how
Right?
that works.
We
Dude,
were the,
also, like,
And you're an immigrant.
well, think about that. Also, partying was our jam. Like,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
went and drank and partied.
Yeah,
At
yeah.
no point was in my 20s and 30s were like, dude, do you know about finances and like crypto and like home ownership?
crypto didn't
and, like,
exist.
no, I've never even heard the word interest rate until I bought a car, and it probably just flew by
over
my head.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but now, like, because of the internet, it's kind of cool to not drink. It's kind of cool to learn
Sure.
to
Get
be
your
on
shit
top of
together.
it.
But
health.
imagine being teenagers. In previous generations, you were a teenager, you have a group of friends, you guys are out having experiences outside together. Our generation, whether you were 12 or 19, you had the internet and no parents around.
Yeah.
And so Pandora's box was open to you, right?
Yeah.
So our generation are Jeopardy. We're the Jeopardy kings. We know the most about the most
Speak for yourself.
but we had it at our fingertips, right? We were
Yeah.
the first teenage or young generation to have infinite information at our fingertips, right? And I think it definitely warped us where you think we would use that information to learn about finances and money and interest rate, but mostly we learned to watch porn and learn about cats.
But I
Binge
want
watch
to
Netflix, you know?
Yeah.
But we're a little bit older than you. I didn't get a smartphone. Like I was in my 20, I was like 25, 26. So before I had the flip phone where you like had to like, like A, B, 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 to like actually
Yeah, like
text.
a BlackBerry and shit.
Yeah.
Well, not
100%.
and it wasn't used for what it is now. I mean, a smartphone that was like 2008, and I was already in my mid 20s. So
Okay.
I feel like I'm in high school to write essays. I mean, they would like force us to use the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to have one resource that's
Yeah. So we ended up being
So those are our excuses.
yeah, those are excuses. But we ended up being what I call the millennial bridge, where our shared experiences don't make sense to people on either side of us. People
Right.
older than us are like, you have Game Boys and the internet? Like, what are you talking about?
You guys are having fun?
Yeah. And-
well, something on that I speaking of finance, because a college kid, so the baby boomers were able to work all summer long and could pay for their college tuition.
yes.
That wasn't an option for me when I was in college.
No.
And I remember looking at I had my bursar's receipt, and one semester was $3,000 plus, so that's, $6,000 plus living. It was probably like, I don't know, like $15,000 for
Yeah.
a year of college.
Yeah.
And I know people listening like, that was it?
That's it? Yeah.
Yeah.
What does it cost now?
I think it's
probably
like
double that.
60K
Yeah, honestly,
to send your
yeah.
kids just to college as a freshman in the dorms. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like 60K. So anyways, my point is we, our generation, could not work to pay for our education.
Yep.
It was like, oh, it's gas money, it's beer money, it's party. It was just little money to go party. And I think that's a big difference. Speaking about finances, it's just the way that it has changed, and that's unfortunate for the American dream.
It is, because the three things that they say contribute to millennials not owning home are rising interest rates, which we'll discuss in a second, massive amounts of debt, and lower net worth, right? And what you're talking about is the rising amount of debt, where our parents still pushed us, especially minorities in America, women in America, were definitely pushed towards, you got to go to college. You got to go to college. You got to take out those student loans. It's the only way. It's the only way. It's the only way. Because a lot of them didn't have the same financial education that we're lacking, even as the cost of college started rising above what your degree was worth, we were still pushed into it, right? We were still. It's not until now, right now, where young people in America are like, wait a minute.
Everybody's woke now.
Yeah, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Like, my degree that I'm getting isn't worth what I'm paying
But
for.
it's not even a real degree.
100%.
It's like some stupid,
Basket weaving.
With Jamaican music studies.
Yeah.
Well,
Like-
we also got pushed that if you don't have a degree, you're not going to get hired.
True.
Right?
Uh-huh,
Because
yeah.
the boomers were hiring.
Yeah.
And they required degrees.
And they
Yes.
require degrees because
do you have a degree?
no.
Do
no,
you?
I still have I
I
legitimately
barely
still,
finished high school.
Yeah, I still
Okay.
have a semester and a half worth of college to finish.
Okay.
Yeah. But I have no interest in getting
But
that. You?
I have a master's.
Oh,
Yeah.
Excuse us.
I know.
We're just going to leave over here.
Yeah.
In what, though?
Theology,
Whoa.
Okay.
ministries.
Alexandra's kind of a badass because she's
Yeah.
been in the mortgage industry as a loan officer, a realtor. She owns like multiple businesses.
Yeah.
Like she's like,
We'll see what I do with theology.
yeah.
Right? It's funny.
I'm still young.
It's still young, still time, right? So
Wait, hold on. Did you ever use your degree in any job process?
So
like
what's-
hiring process? Did you get a job because of your degree?
What's interesting is I noticed when I worked for in the mortgage industry, the people that were loan officers had college degrees. Every single loan officer had a college degree. The people that were the support staff
yeah.
did not.
Wow.
So the leaders, the lead salespeople, all had college degrees. So did I need it to qualify for my job? I did not. But it was interesting. It gave us the confidence to say, I'm going to go for the next promotion type
Yeah,
of
100%.
position.
And I think I don't know. I can't place the year, right? But the idea that you need a college degree to be successful at your job and get hired has been pushed out. Now that millennials or Gen Z have started to become the bosses in the workplace, right? We have a much more.
yeah.
We have especially within the tech industry, where so much of it can be self-taught or where they autodidacts, where you can learn it yourself.
Yeah.
Now that we've kind of taken over a lot of the businesses and hiring process, our idea is, can you do it? I was
Yes.
having a conversation. I was having dinner with one of my clients who's a chef last night, right? And he's like, when I tried to work on the strip, the old classic, hiring process, they were like, you have to shave your beard, you have to look a certain way. And he goes, when I went to my boss that I work with now, he was like, dude, can you cook? Yeah, great. I don't care what your facial hair looks like, right? Like
It's perception, and that's a baby boomer.
100%. It's a whole production thing. And so the rising cost of debt, it's easy. It's very easy to look at student loans and just go, here you go, rising cost of debt, right? But then we also have to factor in the way that we have so little financial education, the way we spend money, our credit card debt on top of that, right?
I mean, I had $40,000 in debt, and then I tapped out and filed for bankruptcy at 38.
38.
2018.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was definitely one of those people, millennials, that just like I was like, I didn't know I can buy a home especially in my 40s.
Yeah,
I
especially
thought I
after
was
bankruptcy, right?
Yeah, it was only till I lived in a different market because California was very expensive.
Yeah.
I was living in California at the time, and it was only till I moved to Las Vegas where I was able to buy a $315,000 home.
Yeah.
And then I did some numbers because I got educated with Bill, our guy, the Gaylord Hansen team. And then they were like, you can buy a home for less than $20,000. And that literally was,
It was like
holy like that's it? Like I thought you had to
have hundreds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know? Like so I think home ownership is dead it's close to being very, very dead in California,
Yeah.
I think. Because what is the medium home price there now? $1 million?
If
Has
you're
to be.
the FHA loan in Los Angeles goes up to $1.1 million
For a starter home.
for a
basically.
starter for a starter
townhome?
home. Yeah, for a starter home.
So I think it's very, very close to being unattainable in California. Like really freaking close. Like this year, next year, 10 years from now, it'll be very, very hard.
I think once you cross over to $1 million for a starter home, unattainable has already reached its.
It's
You're already there.
it's
right?
it's so unfortunate because La La Land, LA, Southern California,
Even San Diego.
It's a bubble, and it really is warped on the real world. And how do two young, let's say 30-year-olds that are newlyweds making, I don't know, $200K a year, how do you afford a home in California? And $200K is a lot of money. You're top 5% in the U.S. Like that's a lot of, and people are
100%.
listening that are from other parts of the world. You're like, what? Or
Yeah.
the U.S. You'd be like, that
200,000 is a lot.
$200K is a lot. In California, it's not.
Wow.
It's not, but
Gets you a couple fish tacos, you know?
get you a couple of fish tacos, right?
Yeah.
So we covered the debt part of it, right? Millennials have a tremendous amount of debt from student loans, credit cards. That part is about learning financial education, right? It's weird the generation that was gifted the internet and all the world's information knows so little about the financial part of it, even though it's right there, right? You can quite literally go to Google and be like, how do I spend less money? Where can I save money? But we never.
But
we
I
never
don't
end up
know
there.
if we were Googling that in our 20s. Again, I go back to where Google is today.
Yeah.
Is a very different thing. I can remember walking on as a freshman onto campus, and it was like sign up for a credit card. Like they got you right there at
right then and
18 on campus.
Yeah.
That-
So
they
it
never
was
pushed that
let's get it,
marketing.
let's get it.
Yeah, they never pushed the financial education part of it, right?
Uh-huh.
No one
Let's
does.
get you
And
hooked.
there's
Like the
just-
cigarette. It is the cigarette industry
Of course.
of the baby boomers.
And
Let's get you hooked.
What's so interesting is that when I was 19 or 20, if I saw financial advice on the internet, I'd be like, that's not true.
Yeah.
But you have some
Like,
conspiracy
boring.
theory website, and I'd be like, oh wow, this is 100% true, right?
Right.
Like what millennials decided was true and what's not still haunts us to this day. Where you'll have a conversation with somebody who's in our age range, and they'll be like, "There's no way that's true." But then you keep talking to them, and they'll say something outrageous, and you're like, "There's no way that's true." Right? Every millennial has a conspiracy theory that they believe,
Right.
and a conspiracy theory that they think is outrageous.
I'm saying we're too smart for our own good. I was talking to my business partner about this. And we go like, how do, because we're still sort of like, we're in year 5 of the business.
Yeah.
We've managed to just never go down, but we haven't hit like, multi-million-dollar business yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was talking to him. I'm like, how do two smart, really, really creative guys are still here?
Mm-hmm.
And then he says, we're too smart for our own good.
Yeah.
We don't want to
I
work
don't
for the
think
man.
you are too smart for your own good. I think you're very smart.
Oh, there you go. Well, we don't want to work for the man.
Yeah.
And we know too much. Like millennials know too much.
Yeah.
For their own good.
Yeah.
For their own good. And they're skeptical a little bit, right? Like a
course.
lot of I feel like I'm always like in an argument about something with somebody.
Yeah.
Just because everyone needs an opinion. And I think that's bitten us in the ass
100%.
with the finances.
100%.
Because it's not like it's
There's nothing creative about financing and saving money.
well,
That's
can I continue one thing?
Yeah.
Because I only started to become financially okay when I talked to Bill,
Yeah.
who was like an older guy then.
Yep.
He was older. He was a boomer, right?
100%.
Bill's a boomer. And he I just followed him around and I was like, this guy's smart. He's got a big house and he's got a together and he's always had a together. And so I just,
Yeah.
it
He has a
was
hot
only
wife.
He has a hot wife.
Smoking hot wife.
I only got my together when I kind of left the millennial
Yeah.
crowd.
Isn't it-
Interesting.
Isn't that crazy?
well, because, but okay, I've had moments where I'm talking to Bill over lunch, right? And I try to come up with a subject that to us millennials, we know a bunch about. And Bill will just look at me and he'll be like, that's crazy. I've never heard that before, right? Bill knows the stuff he knows, right?
Yeah, finances.
Their generation never surfed the internet
Right.
to learn, to dive into rabbit holes about 19th
Right.
century. We never learned about like Mesopotamic rituals and they never did that, right?
They stuck to their one topic.
What he knows. So
he has a degree in business,
yes.
and he stuck with business.
He stuck to it. You know what
We
I
were
mean?
also the ADD generation.
Sure.
There you go.
Sure. When
So-
you have access to clicking a million websites,
Yeah.
where do you think your brand's going to go, right? So in terms of debt, hit it on the head. We never learned about financing. We took on a bunch of student loans, and we are all trying to overcome that now, right? The next big one is the rising cost of housing. Now, some people might say the interest rates, but the interest rates and the cost of house often reflect one another, right? So that is something that people don't want to talk about. We've talked about it on the podcast previously, but a lot of people don't want to talk about the rising cost of housing has a lot to do with how we consume housing, right? One of the big things
What does that mean?
real estate isn't a measurement of houses. Real estate is a measurement of how people live our lives. For instance, in 1958, why wouldn't a millionaire or multimillionaire buy 100 houses? Why weren't they buying hundreds of houses back then? Is it because they didn't think houses were valuable? No. They knew 50, 60 years ago that housing was valuable. It wouldn't be valuable to them to buy 100 houses because you didn't have enough renters.
Because
Right?
of the population.
The concept of people renting houses
Got it.
wouldn't
Oh, I
make
see.
sense. At that point, people could still build their
Right.
own homes,
Build.
fix their own homes. We didn't need fixer flippers. Every single person, either their dad, their grandpa, they had the education to fix their own homes, right?
Okay.
So the cost of housing was controlled by the fact of how many people could build their own houses.
And build and buy. Like my parents built their dream home before they were 30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
With
know,
our-
and they had owned multiple homes up until then as well.
Yeah. Think about that. At 30 years old,
They
had already
built
owned-
their dream home.
built. And this is the thing. If you polled everybody in this room, if I brought 100 millennials into this room and said, how many of you can build a house from scratch?
Not
We
one.
would look at each other and be like,
How many can change a flat tire?
how many can change a flat tire, right? The base but then if you take 100 bills, you
Right.
bring them in the room and be like, yo, set me up an Excel sheet. I want you to build me a website. I want you to
Right.
go to Google and find this piece of information. They would be like,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Like,
It's a different skill set.
It's a different skill set.
It's a different skill. So we as millennials have gotten the short end of the stick when it comes to financial education. How do we change that?
well, first off, you listen to this podcast
Right,
every
listen to us.
Thursday at 10 a.m., right? Subscribe and follow, right? But, I mean, think about this. We have these are three people in this room, who have overcome everything that they say is pushing millennials down, right? We've dealt with the rising cost of homes. We've dealt with partying and spending too much of in our 20s and 30s. And a lot of it, I think, and for me personally, was getting a mentor. Getting a mentor. Someone who, for me, it was Sonia. Someone who had been through business, who had learned to...
How old was Sonia, though? An older mentor.
Is older mentor.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I think millennials really need an older mentor. It's a symbiotic relationship. It's a mutually beneficial relationship, right? With Bill, who I see as a mentor now, who's helping me get to where I want to go, right?
Same, yeah, he's my mentor.
I can help him with like social media. Hey, Bill, here's how to be more likable. Here's how to come off more approachable. Here's how to draw more leads using social media. And then Bill can teach me the same things he
Right.
taught you. Hey, stop blowing money on stupid learn how business works, right? I think to answer your question, getting an older mentor who can help balance out some of the things you're missing can be incredibly valuable.
So it's really
like
about
that.
education, right? And numbers and like math. For me, I think I was afraid to do the math. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
like,
because it's real. It's like
Oh, yeah.
it's like people scared to go to the doctor because they don't want their blood report.
Yeah.
I don't
yeah.
want to know what it is. I don't
'Cause
want to
it's
know what it says. If
embarrassing
I
to
don't
know.
know,
We
I don't
call-
want to get on the
we call that
scale.
black
I don't
people
want to know.
That makes sense.
We call that black people.
Immigrant. I like Filipinos are like
Yeah,
that
black
too,
people.
though.
Yeah, Philip, represent. That's black people.
We're like the Mexicans of the Pacific, so we're the same.
Not wanting to know is a huge part of a lot of cultures, like downfalls, right? Where we'd rather not know.
Yeah,
Right? Because
I don't think it's all of us. There's certain things I don't want to know because I don't want to have to face it. I'm not ready to face it.
You know what it was too? A little bit was like being ashamed that like you didn't know.
that you didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like being embarrassed, like I didn't know about that, and then it was just.
Yeah, it's like when someone.
Why didn't you know?
It's like when someone's like, "Have you heard this new band?" And you're like, "Oh, of course, I've heard this new band."
Yeah.
You never want to be the person on the outside who doesn't know the cool thing, right? There's a shame that comes with it.
Right.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense though, because
Yeah.
we know too much. It's embarrassing not to know.
It's in our generation with the internet. It
Right.
feels embarrassing not to know everything when you could have just Googled it.
Or asked a person who did.
100%.
Right? Like for me, I didn't Google finances. I didn't educate myself, but I had to ask somebody who knew that.
Yeah.
I want to go back a little bit because I was just thinking for the baby boomers, it was like go to college and just get a job and go and you'll be fine.
Yes.
For us, and they did that with us, like go out into the world and get a job and you'll be fine.
Yes.
But again, like we're talking about inflation, raising higher interest rates, the way we couldn't catch up.
The problem is the baby boomers. And we're going to actually do a part 2 of this.
Okay.
Once I have Bill here, because I would like somebody
as a boomer
who is a boomer.
I mean, I think I'm a boomer, but
We have boomer mentality, but we're right. I want someone who's actually a boomer here, so that we can kind of go over population differences, because that's a big part of everything. We're not going to dive into it now because it's a whole conversation, right? But think about how many people were in the country when Bill was growing up. Who was his competition for college? Of course, college is cheaper when you only have when you have 1/10 of the current population existing. The amount of people fighting for college degrees is way lower.
Could you get in?
Right?
Like now, it's hard to get into college.
100%.
Was it hard for him to get into college? I don't know. He's a smart guy.
He is a smart guy, and this is not to say that anybody in the 50s or 60s was dumb. What I mean was the reason college has gotten so much more expensive is because we have so many people here compete. There's only so many seats at Harvard. Harvard only has so many seats, but everybody wants to get into Harvard. So Harvard has to raise their prices to compensate for the amount of people trying to get into Harvard. That's just how business works. And unfortunately, education is a business, right? It is. And the same with jobs. Before, you could graduate college and walk into a job because who were you competing with? Once you had a college degree, you had separated
golden.
yourself from everyone else, right? Nowadays, every Tom, Dick, and Harry has a college degree.
Millennials are overeducated and they are not necessarily using their college education.
Because it wasn't what we were promised.
So let
It's like, let me go get a master's. I think I need that.
Yeah.
Let me kind of sum some things up, right? So the boomers, they didn't have the distractions they had that we had.
They had war.
They had
we had war.
They had one goal: have kids, buy a house, and that's it, right? Like us, millennials, Gen X, whatever, Gen Z, we have all the distractions. We have zero financial literacy.
Yeah.
And we just didn't really know about finances.
We are America's test subject generation. We are the test subject for quite literally everything. We're the test subject for diversity. We're the test subject for single parent households. We're the test subjects for internet. We're the test subjects for video games. We're the test subjects for television. We were raised on television for the most part. I don't know how you guys' family were,
Yeah,
but
for sure.
Me and my brothers, my parents both had to work. So when we came home from school after football practice or whatever, TV was raising us, right?
Yeah.
So let me interrupt you really quick though, because I want to get back into, is it too late, right? So with all that being said, like we've set the stage, right? So what now, right? Like what now as a realtor here in Vegas, what would you recommend? Like, how do you fix this? We know all the excuses of, we have the student loans and all this crap and everything else, but like I was able to do it.
Yes.
After 3 years of being bankrupt.
Yes.
Through having a mentor, learning a little bit more about finances. And it's 2024 now, right? So like my home has about, I don't know, according to Zillow, $75,000 of equity. That to me blows my mind, by the way. But how do you do this in 2024 with lower inventory for homes. There's less homes now. Well, what, like 4 million homes short in the
Sure.
U.S., right? I don't know how Vegas
It's
is.
the same mentality that we've been preaching on this podcast for the past year. You can either view things from the negative
Oh, okay.
side
From the scarcity.
or you can view things from the positive side. Are houses more expensive than ever?
Yeah.
Yes, we have data and facts to prove that.
But so was it when you bought.
Yes. At the
Sure.
time, I was like, this is expensive. And the
Sure.
rates were at 3.5. And I'm like, the rates are high right now at 3. And then, 3 years later, they're in the sevens,
The
right?
sevens.
So,
Are houses more expensive than ever?
yes.
Yes.
Do you have more ability to make more money than ever in human history?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which would you rather focus on? If you want to stay over here and just say houses are more expensive than ever, then guess what? That's reality for you, and that's where you're going to be. You're never going to own anything. If you would like to live on the positive side, where I live, where you live, where you live, where it's like, dude, I can make money owning my own podcast studio and owning my own content direction. I can make money owning multiple businesses, doing Facebook live streams. I can make money posting videos on TikTok. I can make money selling, buying clothes from China and reselling them with prints on them in America. Like, there's a trillion ways to make money that Bill and other boomers never had access to. If Bill wanted to sell T-shirts in China, he had to go to China, set up a production line in China, hope that it went through, hope that his shipment made it to California so he could pick it up at the
put
dock.
thousands of dollars into it
100%.
to get it. Yeah.
Now I can just go on a website, say, hey, I found these shirts in China, ship them to me directly. I'll pay somebody else to print on them. I won't do any labor, and I'll resell them online for $35.
I would give people like millennials a tip. I would say get like a financial advisor, like to get your finances on track. You know what I mean? Like if you don't have a mentor, pay for like a CPA or an accountant or someone who will just tell you what to do.
Yeah.
Because I didn't buy a house. Like Bill was my financial advisor. And I didn't buy that house until a year later. So I had to save up for a year.
I remember you
You know what I
doing
mean?
like you're like I'm only allowing myself this much Starbucks.
Yeah.
Like this.
But I
cuts-
didn't know until like I asked
Yeah,
Bill, you know,
yeah.
and I was so like I think that's a good like if you like another thing people don't realize is if you're trying to buy a house, you got to talk to the lender like soon.
Mm-hmm.
Like in
Yeah.
like if you're trying to buy a house next year, you should do it you should talk to the
Today.
lender today.
Of course.
to
'Cause
get
then they
it
can put-
together.
Yeah, and you were a mortgage loan officer at one point. Why do you have to know that?
Because you may have some things that need to be figured out, and these things don't always happen overnight. You may need savings. You may need credit repair. You may need to sell a home. You may be going through a divorce. You may be whatever it is. And that a lot of those things can take 60, 90, 120 days, or whether it's savings or whatever it is, finding another job, maybe getting a second job, whatever it is to figure out what you need to do to buy a home.
100%.
But I would say back to your question about is it too late? And you mentioned it's too late in some areas. I would agree that if you are living in the high, the la la land, the warped bubble, the Chicago, the New York City, the Southern California, that may not be your best option to financial literacy and financial security and financial advancement.
You guys are going to hate to hear this, right? And I'm not doing this for TikTok clicks. I'm not doing this for anything like that. I'm just trying to be honest with you, right? Because you just mentioned Chicago, New York, LA, and the last big one is Miami, okay? You guys don't want to hear this. You're going to have to move to some more conservative areas. I'm sorry to tell you this. I know some of you don't like hearing this. I know this makes some of you uncomfortable. But you're going to have to do what Californians have been doing. Move to Montana, move to Utah, move to Texas, move to
Las
Henderson.
Vegas. Yep.
You're going to have to move to areas that are just slightly more fiscally conservative, okay? You cannot afford to live in Los Angeles where they believe in spending a lot of money on social programs because those social programs bring in more people and those people also want to rent and buy houses and it's not going to stop. Okay.
And they're not paying back to the system.
Regardless of what they're
Right.
paying back, the fact that you want to live somewhere where they spend liberally, You can't afford. You spend liberally. Okay? Your problem is that you spend liberally. So you can no longer afford to live in a city that also spends liberally, right? Ironically, do you know who lives in areas that spend liberally? People who are fiscally conservative. People who are fiscally conservative
They can afford it.
live in Beverly Hills. People who are fiscally conservative live in Summerlin, Chicago, right? That's the great irony of this world. The more fiscally conservative you are, the nicer, more liberally spending areas you can live in, right? The more you save early, the more money you can blow later in life. That's just, you guys don't want to hear this, millennials. You think that everyone should be rich by 25 and you should be able to live on yachts by 30. That's not how this game works.
And retire at 40.
Right? You put in the work in your 20s and 30s so that you can make a better 40s and 50s. And millennials, I'm 36 and we just got our home, right? We are getting the latest starts to life. We should have been doing this in our 20s like your parents.
I was 41, dude.
Right?
So it's not too late.
But no, we're all
in the same boat.
We're getting these later starts in life. So instead of enjoying our 40s and 50s, it's going to be our 50s and 60s. We have pushed our gratification back a decade.
Because we enjoyed our 20s and 30s. That's what
we enjoyed the shit out of our 20s and 30s.
But baby boomers, and you've brought this point up before a couple of times, Brandon, but baby boomers got married at 22. And you tell people all the time, hey, like get a double house, two household income is going to allow you to buy more home.
11% of women in America make six figures when you remove women who make money through divorce and women who make money on their own. 1.5% of women in America make six figures that are single. When you remove women from them that don't have enough debt, student loans, credit card, half of that. So 0.075% of women who make over six figures in America can afford to buy a home. 0.075% of single women can afford to buy a home. Like, this idea that you could be single and have it all is insane. Even if I don't factor in credit, debt, all that stuff, 1.5% of single women can afford to buy a home. It's a stupidly low number. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I think we can push another thing too, right? So like I think there's another thing called house hacking that I want to start marketing as like a content director, that we already kind of rent. Like, we're already used to renting and having roommates.
Sure.
So why not go, like, me and my business partner house hack right now. So we live in his house.
Yeah.
My parents live in my house.
Yeah.
So I gave him my house. I think, like, I want to start pushing the word house hacking, because that allows you to at least buy a home with high interest rates, but try to get it with a good friend or a cousin, or like, it doesn't have to be, like you said, you don't have to do it alone. And it's very hard to do it alone if you're not married.
Three 22-year-olds coming out of college should not rent 3 different apartments.
No.
They should get their parents together, get their monies together, and say, look, we're out of college. By the way, your college degree, whatever you specialize is, can count as your 2 years of work history towards a loan. For those of you watching who need to know that. So if you just graduated college, guess what? You have the 2 years of job experience as long as you enter a job field that's the same as what your degree was.
As far as qualifying.
Yeah. So if you just graduated from college, you're 22, 23, or a 5-year, or like me, right? You and 3 buddies, instead of renting 3 different apartments and going into the debt cycle, buy a house together, rent it together. Your rent's going to be very similar to what it would be renting an apartment. The difference is now you have a house that's making value.
And dude, rent's 100% interest. You're just losing it.
Yep.
Like, when I did that, kind of woke me up too, when I was doing the calculations of like having to be a renter most of my 20s.
Yeah.
Dude, I could have bought like 5 houses.
Yeah.
Oh.
Especially in LA.
Doesn't that
What
hurt
you
your
paid in
fancy?
LA.
Like, yes, 20 years of renting, I could have bought multiple houses.
Multiple houses.
Had I just like
Known.
chilled out on the Starbucks, chilled out on like vacations, chilled out on going to the bar.
Yeah.
Anything.
You know?
If you had picked one of those things to chill out on.
Yes.
Isn't that mind blowing? If you had just picked one of those things, right?
Yes. And also here's sort of the silver lining. At 38, I was bankrupt. In a span of 3 years of saving and getting my together, I was able to buy a house. So it takes a little bit of time, but it's not like 10 years. It was 3, maybe it's 2. If you go in with a friend or some business partners and maybe it's faster. So there's like, we are a creative generation. I think we just need to be a little bit more creative. On actually getting a home.
100%.
And being more
100%.
open to like roommates instead of just like, yeah, I'm going to wait another 5 years. Well, that house is going to be like $200,000 more if you wait 5,000, a year.
Instead
or 2,
of being,
or 3.
and take our creativity and put it towards things that are actually going to build us a better future, right?
Yeah, I think so.
The best thing I ever did for my life was stop trying to sell real estate the way everybody else did it and find a more creative way to do it. And now guess what? Every young realtor in Vegas
Is copying Brandon.
wants to do it this way because it's
sure.
it's way more fun. I'm sitting in a podcast studio doing a podcast with my friends. Like I'm literally we're sitting here just having a chat with my friends, right? This is
his business.
This
now.
is my
Yeah.
business model.
All of us are working now.
This is right now. We're working right now,
Yeah.
right? This is my business model. This is a more creative and more fun way for me to do what realtors have been doing for decades. But we put our creativity towards something that's better for us.
And maximized it.
There's nothing out there that says you aren't allowed to make money doing the things that you have fun doing. You like partying? Great. Become a party planner, become a promoter, become a marketer, right? You're good at throwing parties? Guess what? Las Vegas pays a ton of money for party planners. It's a huge industry out here.
Or liquor
right?
distributor.
Or liquor
whatever.
distributor. You like drinking? Great. Get into the bar sales, get into liquor distribution, open your own bar, make connections. Like whatever you like doing, this is 2024. There's a job for you.
You can do it.
You like traveling? You like traveling? Go teach English in China. Go teach English in Japan. They pay a ton of money for these things, right? Like whatever you like, go become a flight attendant. There's a million things you can do with whatever you like doing. I think that's the best advice we can leave any millennial with.
I want to give one last tip to any millennial in these higher price cities like California and a lot of my friends that are still stuck in, I'm going to save up here in California because I want a house. And they're probably thinking it's your dream house. Just get into a house. So you stop paying rent. But I would be open to at least traveling to a city, spending 2 weeks there, rent an Airbnb and get to know start traveling different cities that are cheaper to buy.
Yeah.
And stay there for 2 weeks, and then you can go. Then you can make a decision of like, oh, I do like the city. I can get used to it because a lot of people come to Vegas and they're like, they just see the strip. But I'm like, dude, there's trees here, there's lakes, there's parks.
We have Trader Joe's.
Yeah, right?
Hell yeah, we have
Whole Foods.
It's so efficient here.
Stop
in this
traveling
city.
to Tulum. Stop traveling to Colombia. Stop traveling to places you're not ever going to live right now, right?
Yes.
Like you can still travel, but travel to somewhere that you might
That
wanna
you could-
live
that you
in
could
the
live at.
Yeah,
future.
test out a city and then
Yeah.
kind of look at numbers.
Yeah.
My business partner's kind of doing that too because he's looking at Austin right now, and he's been back 3 or 4 times. He's in the summer. He's going back in the fall. We're looking at home prices and commercial real estate, but you gotta go in that you don't want to jump into a market, but go look at it and test it out. Have a
And
vacation.
that's a great
over
idea.
there.
Yeah, but not like you said, let me go to Vegas and stay at the Strip and stay at the Cosmo and go to the nightclub. You're not experiencing the real world.
Because you don't know what you don't know. You know what I
don't know
mean?
what
So
you don't know.
if you don't look at a city
Yeah.
and you're open to go to the prices for homes, and we're talking about homes, right? Trying to buy a home. I would spend a couple vacations a year to just go 2 weeks, stay in Airbnb.
That's a great piece of
Don't
advice.
go to the tourist area, but go to the suburbs and hang out over there.
Yeah.
And then you can go and then start Googling home prices.
And find Trader Joe's. Just kidding.
Trader Joe's is cool.
I just say that because I know you like to go there.
I think
They get so chatty.
they are too chatty. Dude, Trader Joe's is the grocery store version of Dutch Bros.
Yeah.
Where your politeness has now crossed over into bothering me.
I have to mentally prepare to talk to someone at Trader Joe's.
That's
if
so
I don't wanna
millennial
talk to
of us.
somebody, I'll
So
go to Whole
millennial.
Foods or Sprouts.
Forget.
If I don't want to have
You're
any
tripping. Brother, when I'm having a long day, I purposely take 10 extra minutes and drive to Walmart just so I know that I'm going to get shitty customer service. I don't want to deal with you, You don't want to deal with me. Let's just be done with our days.
Yeah.
We both hate Tuesday.
Yeah, Trader Joe's, I'm having a conversation for 10 minutes.
Oh.
And
Yeah.
you're like, man,
Dude,
Have you tried the new almond butter coconut
They're so
spread?
nice.
Would you
Yeah.
like to try it?
it's
Yeah.
like
Dude.
it's like scary nice. I'm
Right.
like, oh my gosh, what do you need from me?
Can you be?
They're just nice.
Can you please be a little bit more Waffle House in here? I really need to have a worse time. than
Waffle
this.
House.
Yeah, guys, thank you for joining me on this. Next week, I want to do a part two of this. I think this is an important topic. I think most of our listeners and fan base are millennials, or within that range of millennials.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important for them to see not just the information that we have, but 3 people who have all achieved the same home ownership goal in 3 different ways.
I'm actually curious for people watching, can you tell us in the comments what are your biggest hurdles,
Yeah.
whether it's your market, or you have too much debt, or you just don't
Or you're
know anything.
scared.
Yeah, if you're
Yeah.
scared, just let us know, because we want to actually obviously help you guys,
Yeah.
right? Because we actually have direct connections to
100%.
real estate, lending,
Yeah.
we can do it. You know what I mean?
There's 3 people in here who have been through
Yeah.
what you're going through, right? And I want you guys to know you're not alone. So like Robert said, leave us a comment. If you've overcome the millennial hurdles, let us know. Share your experiences. If you're still trying to overcome it and you're scared, like Alexandra said, don't call her Alex.
Do not.
Do not call her Alex. Let us know in the comments. We read all the comments. We want to respond to you guys. We want to engage with you guys. We want to let you know you're not alone out there. So yes, please leave us a comment. Robert, my man, thank
been
you.
fun.
We're gonna pull you on screen next
All
week.
right,
We'll put
cool.
you
Yeah,
on
I'll
the
be
camera.
here next week.
Arbusha. Guys, I'm Brandon from Vegas. This is Won't You Be My Neighbor. Bill's not here today, but he's always here in spirit.
Here.
If you guys ever need a lender, this is my dog, Bill, right here. Man, he's getting better. He's feeling better. You guys contact him directly or head to billgaylord.com. He's the only lender I use and work with, so if you reach out to me, you're going to reach out to him eventually. He can make sure to take care of you guys. Plus, he's free the same way I am. So
It's
it
a
doesn't-
whole team behind it, too,
a whole
right?
team.
See,
Yeah.
we're all Team Gaylord.
Yeah, but look
here.
at this. Look
Yeah.
at his face, man. That's you want to work with Daddy Gaylord, man. Come on,
Yeah.
I think millennials call him Zaddy. I think that's what we call him, Zaddy. I think that's what it is, man.
Oh, wait, we didn't do a millennial terms.
Oh, millennial
One
terms.
last
Let's
finish
do it,
millennial
guys.
terms.
We have a game.
So tell me if these millennial terms work for you. Okay.
All right.
Do you know what "bay" means?
Like, is that like my
Oh,
boy?
let's make it a game show. Welcome back to Do You Speak Millennial?
So what, do I put like a hand up or?
What does "bay" mean? Alexandra?
I think, is that like my boo?
that is correct.
Yeah,
It's
wow.
like my
Woo-hoo.
boo.
I have a friend that
All
uses
right.
it. I have a friend that uses it. Okay.
What does the word basic mean?
Oh, that's easy. I mean, it's basic. It's self-explanatory. Just like
Give
a
it to us
boring,
in a
boring-
sentence.
Like a boring lady having a frappuccino, you know?
Like
You
that
talk-
was so
Oh,
basic.
is that horrible to say?
Pumpkin spice latte. That's basic white girl. That's the
we
phrase
say
they
that?
use here.
Okay.
That's the phrase they has on
You didn't
Google.
raise your hand, but
That's
you get
the
that
phrase
point.
on-
Oh, okay.
We have
Okay.
to raise our hands.
This is a
I have
classic
to raise
one.
my hand.
What does on fleek mean? Alexandra.
Like, I'm flexing.
On fleek.
Like, I
On
think it's stylish.
fleek.
Yeah, I'm
Fleek,
stylish.
yes,
like, I
it-
feel like Drake would use that.
It means on point,
Yeah.
attractive,
Okay, on
or
point.
stylish. On
Wow.
fleek.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
These are easy.
Well, okay,
Well, it's our
okay.
gen. It's our gen.
Let's go with salty.
Ooh.
Like bitter. I'm cheating.
You got to
I'm not
raise your
raising my
hand. You're cheating. This is like,
It's like,
we did a buzzer.
yeah.
Salty.
Salty
Alexandra.
is when, yeah, you're bitter,
bitter.
or you're just like, who it was salty in there.
Okay,
It was
well,
tough.
I'm gonna do
It
Gen
was
Z
tough.
terms. This is more fun because nobody knows these, and I had a little
Gen
thing
Z
for-
terms? Are those
Okay,
even
what does
existing ones?
simp mean, Alexandra?
Simp?
Yeah.
Like simple?
Do you know
No,
what simp is?
a simp is a guy who simps over women. He's a sucker. He's a sap.
He's like a pushover.
He's a pushover. He's a
Oh.
beta. He has no backbone.
Okay.
What about Riz? Do you know what Riz is?
I do. My niece uses
What is
it a lot.
Riz?
Riz has got to have game. You got that super Riz, that Rizzler.
Okay.
Charisma. It's short
Charisma.
for charisma.
Charm.
Oh.
All right, hold on. I got a
That
couple more.
Riz.
Sorry, Austin. Here we go. You might have.
I
to
got
cut out
Vegas
stuff.
Riz.
Okay. What about bet?
I mean, we're in Vegas. I'm going to bet, but I don't know.
Bet is the
Look at- you
black
got-
version of gotcha. You
Yeah.
know, or you betcha.
It's like an agreeable term. Like
Agreeable
I'm like,
Okay.
you're like, are you gonna go eat tonight? Bet. Or is that
Or-
the right word?
or-
is that how you say it?
Oh,
or
okay.
or as Bill would say, you betcha.
Oh yeah, it's like
By
yes,
golly?
it's
Yes.
an agreeable term.
Yeah.
and
Okay,
then
bet.
It's an agreement
Oh,
term.
okay, I
Bet.
get it. I get
You
it.
betcha.
Yeah, I got
this
it.
one I just found out. Stan. Do you know what Stan is?
Yeah, it's like a super fan, like from Eminem's
Wow.
Stan, right? Where you're a stan for somebody.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're going back to Eminem. I
All
love
right,
Eminem.
Last two. Bussin'.
I mean, that sounds like it's
Oh
hot.
man, this food is
hot.
bussin'.
Yeah, it's really
This
good.
food
It's
is
really good.
bussin', boy.
Yeah.
It's out the
All right.
pops.
No cap.
I mean, I'm thinking alone, but I have no idea.
No cap. Everyone thinks it's like the
No
cap,
cap
rate.
means no
Like the-
lies told, bruh. I'm
Okay.
making,
You know.
I'm making money over here. No cap.
Okay, there's one more that
Okay.
I don't even know. What's chuga? Chugi? What is
Oh
chugi?
no, you're out of my range, bro. You
I don't
lost
know
me.
what
on
it
that one.
Chugi, are you cool or are you chugi? This
You lost
word
me on that
is-
one.
Chugi.
It's like uncool.
Uncool. So this is gonna date me because I was listening to the radio and someone asked a young person, I don't know what gen, like, what's a CD? And my immediate response was certificate of deposit. Like that even goes. That's a boomer answer. That's a
That's a
boomer.
boomer.
You're like an old
Answer.
soul anyway.
I was like,
That makes sense.
certificate of
That's a boomer
deposit.
Answer, man.
Had a CD. Wow.
Yeah, not compact disc, right?
I remember I remember riding. Okay, this is so crazy. I remember riding the bus to school at 12 years old, and someone in the back was like, "Oh, we're gonna burn CDs," and I was like, "Criminals! You're lighting CDs on fire?
That's gold.
You're lighting CDs on fire
That's
on
fleek.
a bus?
Wait, fleek?
That's not
hot.
on fleek.
It could be. No,
That's
it could
not,
be.
That's not on fleek.
Could be. That
Robert,
was good.
Alexandra,
That was fun.
Arbushka, thank you guys for your time. This was a blast. Next week, we're going to do more millennial conversation. We're going to definitely do a focus on misinformation and disinformation.
Okay.
As the generation who grew up learning the internet and then learning how much people lie on the internet, misinformation is a big thing for us.
Yes.
And I think we're going to do an entire topic next week on all the misinformation that's out there, keeping millennials from buying homes. So
I like that.
Thank you guys for your
Great.
time. Everybody, thank you. Leave
Thanks,
your
guys.
comments below. Peace.
Make sure
Peace,
to
peace,
follow.
peace,
You got to
peace,
follow
peace.
too. We gotta
Yeah, you
follow.
can follow me later. Peace.